Hey, dude.
Yeah, what's up?
Have you ever noticed that this right here is the same size?
That's real impressive. Mine's bigger. Hello and welcome once again to the Darkened Room of Music Conversation. I'm Chris.
And I'm Darren, and today we are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking about three major formats. We're going to be talking about the LP, vinyl record, cassette, and also compact disc.
That is correct.
So I got to start out by saying I never bought vinyl records as a child. Well, let me explain that.
Okay.
My parents had a huge vinyl collection.
Yeah.
So I indulged regularly in their music, which was primarily country at the time.
Yeah.
I did, however, start buying 45s, and what triggered that was my father owned a pizza place which had a jukebox.
Ah.
And that particular place, shout out to Donici's in Nashville. That was my dad's pizza shop in the 70s. And,
Nice.
And he had a jukebox. And so a lot of times when, a song expired or it was no longer as relevant, and they would change out the music, he would give me songs that I liked.
Nice.
So a couple of these, that's where I got them. But I requested them. I wanted them.
Okay.
So I didn't really buy them. I was a kid. I didn't have a job. So anyway, that's how that came to be. So when I first started actually buying music with my allowance and so forth, that my parents would give me, my format of choice was cassette, which was when I was around 12 years old.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So that's kind of the backstory of how all this is going to be. So,
all right.
So anyway.
Well, one of the reasons that I actually bought LPs and then eventually moved to cassette is because my first stereo system my parents bought me was, the 3-in-1. It had the radio, it had the cassette, had the LP.
Right.
I really loved making mixtapes.
Nice.
Well, I didn't have a way to go from cassette to cassette, so I always wanted the LP so that I could make my mixtapes and put the songs on that I like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense.
Eventually, I begged my parents for Christmas to get me a boombox dual cassette.
Wow. That way you could go from cassette to cassette.
Finally got one, and at that point, then I wanted cassettes. And there was a mix of cassettes and LP, but of course, since it was new, I bought a bunch of cassettes, at the beginning. So,
right.
So that's why I actually sought out LPs when I did.
So you were talking, like, how old were you at this point?
I was 12.
12, okay.
As well.
So we started buying music around the same time.
Just about. Now, the first 45 I bought was actually before that. I don't remember how old I was. I had to be around 10.
Yeah.
Well, whatever year Hall & Oates I Can't Go For That came out.
1982.
82. So I was actually 11. So I was pretty close.
All right. Well, let's jump right in then. We're going to start with the vinyl discussion.
Yeah.
And prior to that, I did have a lot of 8-track tapes. My folks did as well. and I'll listen to a lot of those primarily in the car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we won't mention them, but we are aware of the format.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to get right into vinyl. And the first song that I remember having on 45 by request by me for my dad's jukebox was Johnny Rivers, secret agent man himself. But the song was Slow Dancing, Swaying to the Music.
Oh, that's a great song. Yeah, it's been covered by many people since then.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep.
All right, so you want me to name my LP then?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go back and forth.
Okay, we'll do that. So my first LP that I bought with my own money was The Police Synchronicity.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great start right there.
Yeah, and that coincides with the year that I really started paying attention to music. So I was seeking out the albums at that point, and that was my first purchase.
All right. Well, my second vinyl 45 that I'm going to mention was another request that I got from my father, and that was James Taylor, Handyman.
Oh, that's a great song too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I don't know how I was relating to those kind of songs when I was so young, but hey, whatever.
You like what you like when you're a kid.
There you go.
Yeah. So my second one was Too Low from Zero, The Comeback from Mr. Elton John.
Great album.
Yeah, I'm Still Standing. Guess that's why they call it the blues.
Wonderful song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big Elton John fan right here. I know you are too. All right, my next vinyl record, I'm actually going to mention a couple because they were around the same time, both 45s. One changed my life forever, and that is not an understatement.
Debbie Boone, You Light Up My Life.
How did you guess? No. It was actually the great, the mighty, and they're still active, thank goodness. Hall & Oates, You Make My Dreams.
Ah, very nice.
And then around that time, I also picked up a Billy Squier Stroke 45. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we both had a Hall & Oates song as among our first 45s.
Yep.
That's very cool. So my third LP I got was Def Leppard, Pyromania.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, you're on a roll.
Yeah.
Was good.
I loved the album, but
Yeah.
I think I bought that because of peer pressure as well.
Yeah.
I remember at Boy Scout camp, a kid had the cassette, and he held it up, 10, 12 years old, however he was. You know how kids are.
If you don't own this, you suck.
Yeah, that was pretty much the gist
Yeah.
of it. You ain't cool is what he said.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, maybe I like the album. I should get it.
Yeah, in 82, he may have had a point.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on now to cassettes, because cassettes was when I really started, okay, I want that, I'd hear something on the radio and I would have to own it.
Yeah.
So that's when my world changed. And the first cassette that I remember acquiring was Hall & Oates Rocket and Soul Part 1.
Oh, yes. I had that on LP.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I loved Say It Isn't So and Adult Education from that.
Yeah, the
Awesome
two new
stuff.
songs off that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you can probably guess the year that I got my boombox by the releases that I picked. My very first purchase was REO Speedwagon's Wheels Are Turning.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been 84-ish, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Good choice. And that's a good album, too. I like REO Speedwagon.
It is indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, up next for me would be Men at Work. Business as Usual.
That's a great one. Yeah.
That was one that I wanted and went out and got it. I think it was near a holiday. I probably got some Christmas money or something like that and picked it up. So
Yeah.
And I still like it to this day.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my next cassette purchase would have been the Tears for Fears song from The Big Chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And I covered that in my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
Side 2, just
Great memories, man.
classic. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, love it. And I never got tired of Tears for Fears. I really like their music. I think it holds up well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you had good taste, my friend.
Oh, you did too.
And, all right, so my third cassette was Queen, The Game.
Very nice.
With another one, Bites the Dust, of course. Crazy Little Thing Called Love, but Play the Game. All kinds of great stuff is on that record. Still love it, or I should say cassette, to keep it in line with what we're talking about here.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was number 3 of my first 3 cassettes ever.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, so the third cassette I got was Agent Provocateur from Foreigner.
Yeah.
I Want to Know What Love Is.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
That was yesterday's my favorite off of there, and that's
Tooth and
the
Nail.
reason. That's the reason I bought the cassette.
It's an underrated record. 'Cause
It really is.
All the way through, it's very good.
Yeah, it's
I
fantastic.
like it a lot.
I was surprised by it.
Yeah, it's rocking too.
I
There's
listened
a
to
lot
it
of-
beginning to end several times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're talking 85 here.
yeah.
All right, so that's all the cassettes. So we've knocked out LPs and we knocked out 45s and some cassettes. So later in the 80s, this thing came around, this shiny silver thing, and I'm not talking about UFOs. It was like a UFO though.
Yeah, it was.
really was. It was like out of this world. To me.
Alien technology.
Yeah, it blew my mind. It really did.
Yeah.
The compact disc, and we covered that in a previous episode. With the first
We
time
did.
we saw one, heard one, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But finally, by the late 80s, I actually owned a player. And my very first CD, I got 2 at the same time, so I can only name one. I'll name them both. But
Right.
the first one,
Well, go ahead and name them both because I bought a multi-pack when I
Gotcha.
bought mine. So go ahead and throw out the first 2.
okay, Steely Dan, A Decade of Steely Dan, and Journey Departure. And here's what happened. So I gave money to a guy who's one of my friends to this very day, Jason. he lived up the road from me, and I kind of buddied up with him because his folks had more money and they had better food over there and they had MTV. So, but I wasn't using Jason. Jason's a great guy.
Oh, of course.
But he introduced me to a lot of stuff. He had a lot of a big music collection and stuff. And so every Saturday, I think it was, he would go to the mall with his allowance money and buy, whatever music he wanted.
Yeah.
So if I was tied up with baseball or whatever, I would send him to get stuff for me. And so this particular time, I wanted Journey Escape and Steely Dan Decade, but when he got to the store, they were out of Escape. So he came back with Journey Departure and Steely Dan Decade, which I still own to this very day. So
Very
it was
nice.
my first 2 CDs.
Well, my first 2 CDs, actually I bought 3. And I'm not counting the third.
Okay.
I just bought my CD player at that half price fair that I mentioned in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So went to Kmart or someplace that's not around anymore. I can't remember what store it was. But I was with my mom and my little brother. I remember that. I picked out Robert Palmer's Riptide.
Great album.
Yeah. And I picked out Eddie Money's Can't Hold Back.
Excellent.
Now, the third CD was my first lesson in reading the cover and the label to make sure you're not buying a piece of crap. It was a Miami Vice compilation that had like tons of great songs on it.
Right.
But I did not notice that it was a cover band.
Performed by the Countdown Singers or whatever it is. Yeah.
It wasn't the Countdown Singers, but they did a lot of them.
Yeah.
In the early days of CDs.
Right.
And I was very disappointed.
That
when
was
I got
such a
home.
cruel trick that they pulled on people with that crap.
It really was.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, because it was in very tiny print at the bottom.
Yeah, and at the time you're spitting out $16 a pop for this garbage.
Yeah, it was regular price. It
Yeah.
wasn't even discounted. So
Wow. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that made a fine coaster eventually, right?
it did, yeah. And actually, I think I did like a speech class where you had to demonstrate something.
Yeah.
And I demonstrated the indestructibility of CDs is what I did. And I had a cassette and I pulled out the tape and all that. But I threw the CD against the wall and showed everybody that it didn't break. Well, it actually cracked.
Oh, Lord.
But I didn't show the audience that, of course. But yeah, that was the end of that.
But didn't it feel good to take out a measure of revenge on it?
It felt great.
All right, so moving along, the next choice I made on CD around this time, I'm pretty sure it was the next one that I bought. It was the new album by Rush at the time, which was Hold Your Fire. And I know not long around that same time, I got a Triumph album too. I think it was Sport of Kings. Or maybe it was the one after that. But I know Rush for sure was in my next batch. And Rush and Journey, they kind of elevated to the forefront of that's when my collectoritis really kicked in.
Yeah.
I got to own their whole catalog on CD. So that was definitely the next batch after the initial 2.
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so my third pick, I wanted to go find something like a little bit of a throwback from like the early 80s. One that I knew that had plenty of songs on it that I really liked. And I went and picked out ZZ Top's Eliminator.
Cool.
Yeah, Gimme All Your
Yeah.
Lovin' and Sharp Dressed Man and all that.
Nice.
I always loved those songs.
Oh,
And-
me too. Still do.
yeah,
Still do.
So that was my third pick. And
Not bad.
I'm pretty sure it was my third pick. I remember buying some other classic stuff like a Steve Miller album
Yeah.
and things like that. So I believe that was the next one. I remember how cool it looked because it was the Target CD that and the label went all the way to the middle.
Right.
So just a cool looking CD. I remember that so
Very
well.
cool. I've still got my Target. I actually got a couple of Targets of that particular album.
Yeah.
But it was you hit on a good point there. Early on, at least I was this way. Whenever I started collecting CDs, I would kind of look around for the greatest hits by groups.
Yeah.
I remember I got a Supertramp one, classics early on. I got a Styx classics early on.
Yeah.
And not long after, I want to say it was 1988, Journey put out a greatest hits. Steve Miller Band, like you say, that was another one. So,
Yeah.
the label, they were pretty smart with how they rolled out the CD format, and pretty quick before they got around to actually reissuing everybody's catalog. They did, put out there, like I remember 38 Special Flashback. That was another one. They were really good about trying to get greatest hits out there for you to buy if you were just going to pick one. Because, CDs, like you pointed out, were more expensive at that moment.
Yeah.
So that was a good move by the label. And
It was because the average person wouldn't want to buy 8 CDs or the same artists just to get 2 or 3 of their favorite songs off of it. So
That's
the greatest
right.
hits was a great move.
Yeah.
And it proved to be quite successful for some bands.
Yeah.
The Eagles.
Yeah.
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 That would be
sure.
a good episode to do, like most successful compilation albums like that.
Yeah.
Greatest hits or whatever.
It sure would.
Yeah.
And you know, I was in music retail at the time when CDs were really booming, and
Mm-hmm.
and whenever an artist did a remaster campaign or a reissue campaign, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, you know, first time ever on CD, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people just can't really understand kind of how exciting it was at the time.
Right.
It kind of seems silly now, but anyway,
it was a new thing.
it was a new thing. So, you know, going all the way back to the 70s when I was a wee little one, you know, till now, I've always enjoyed collecting music. I've always, you know, music. Have I ever went a day without hearing a song? I don't think so.
No.
You know, it would be impossible. If I was deaf, I think I would still hear music inside my head.
Yeah.
So that's why we have this channel. It's all about the music, man.
That's exactly right. And we hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you enjoyed it. Leave comments and hook us up on social media.
Yeah, and let us know what your first albums or CDs or cassettes or whatever that you bought. We'd like to hear that too.
Yeah, take part. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this episode of In a Darkened Room. You can find the link to this episode's companion Spotify playlist in the description. Darren and Chris welcome your comments. You can leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Follow In a Darkened Room on Twitter to receive updates and submit your ideas for what we should discuss in upcoming episodes. Darren and Chris are also on Instagram, so give them a follow there as well. All of these links can be found in the description below. While you're there, be sure to click subscribe and ring the bell.
All right, random topic time, and I think we should hit the shuffle play button. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, so here we go. And there's Asia, Only Time Will Tell.
Wow.
Let's talk about.
Great song, first of all. Love the band. Love that album. It was really huge at the time when it came out. And they were kind of a super group. It's kind of strange. They were a super group of progressive music. You know, the drummer was from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And then you had the singer was from a band called UK. And then, of course, members of Yes in there as well. So it was just a hodgepodge of all these progressive guys, but they were playing more mainstream arena rock, they called it at the time, which was really huge. So that particular song was my favorite song, probably is my favorite song by Asia. It's real close between that one and Don't Cry.
Oh, it is mine too, yeah.
And the sound that kicks that song off, I can't hear that without thinking about the Final Countdown. It's the same exact keyboard sound.
Yes, it
and
is.
the same guy, I believe, produced both of them, Kevin Nelson. So, so that's my short synopsis of what I think when I think of Only Time Will Tell.
Yeah, well, you gave a lot of information there. I can say that, you know, I remember Heat of the Moment so well. MTV played the heck out of that video.
They did. I remember all the little screenshots.
And I remember just kind of getting irritated that they didn't show Only Time Will Tell as much. And that was my favorite song. I'm like, I wish they would have shown that more.
It was a way better song.
Yeah, it totally was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I still love it to this day.
Me too. All right, well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll have another video very, very soon, and so we'll see you again. Take care.
See ya.